Alrighty, good evening ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today, just basically an update. We ended up doing the raid last night a couple of times. We finished up the vast majority of our Yormantides. We have our 30 here, all completely maxed out. Luckily their sanity has gone back up to normal because it was not that way earlier. And we have 20 of the Noclums. With the first fight, which there's only 2, not 3 in total. There's 2 as far as I know, unless there's one past ultra. But even with the first fight, we beat him pretty quickly. We do have that footage coming up right after I get done talking about what's going on right now. But yeah, ended up beating him fairly quickly too, because overkill, of course, like that's name of the game at this point. You want to have everything maxed out and all that stuff as well. The Yormantide actually was pretty surprising compared to the Ignis. With this in particular fight, when it comes to the overall damage output, it's actually really good, but the defense is actually where I was having a little trouble with on the Yormantide Ignis. But since 55 is the cap, he does get up to almost 1100 with 100 IVs. With this being an alpha, he's almost at 10,000 health, so that helps out a significant amount as well. All of these guys are maxed out except for these last 5, which this one's almost done, so not too far off. And with that being done, we still have the mass breeding going on at the big breeding base. But I decided to go ahead and started doing some of the other breedings to get some other stuff going, kind of mix and matching. We've got 4 breeding pins in total with Blazemuts and a couple, I think like 2 with the Xenoguards and then the Xenovader. We have, I think 2 of those as well. Yeah, 2 Xenovaders. There's the other Exoguard or Xenoguard. As of right now, we only got 2 slots for the Blazemut Ryu. All in all, not too bad. The raid, we will be doing the ultra raid tonight once I max out the rest of these Yormantides to see if we can get through it. One thing that I will suggest for the raid, just a small little suggestion, if you are using damage for yourself as well, probably would be best to use that quad missile launcher. I know that the rounds are expensive, but it's well worth it, because when you have that many PALS out attacking one target, one of the biggest issues is that you'll end up hitting the back of your own PALS. Well, you could use the guided rocket launcher as well if you don't have the quad yet, but they're like the same damage, only you get to shoot 4 of these. So if you can help it, and if you could do yourself a justifiable grab on the old oil rig, as we had discussed in the video prior, to get at least a green version of this, because it does hit harder. What the world is going on? Okay, Syndicate Thug is eliminated. Back what I was saying. The reason being for this is that you can take these guided rocket launchers, and with all of the PALs being surrounding them, it's really hard to get anywhere as far as shot wise onto the actual Blazemut Ryu, even though his head is just above it. Especially with a bunch of Yormantides, they're very, very large targets, and you'll end up hitting the back of them with the normal rocket launcher. So what we had been doing is essentially, while we're on the back of her, of Azarobi especially, is that you can actually aim above his head, and the rockets will track down and hit him on top of the head, as you can see with that right there with the FWAC. So this comes incredibly handy for that fight in particular, and especially for any of the raid fights. So just keep that in mind when you're going to go do that stuff. Also, the grenade launcher is a good one to use as well, because of the ability to arc the rounds on top of his head. You get a lot of damage output. Another small suggestion, probably go with more water PALs than the ground PALs, because of the simple fact that if you put out all 50, especially with the first part, if you put out all 50, like, takes a minute to get him down before he switches over, which is like his last bit of health when he finally switches over to electric, and that's really the biggest tussle of it, and he comes up to about half health after you do that. So realistically, if you have more water people or more water PALs, then you can drag his health bar down extremely quickly, and then have the ground PALs take out the last bit. I was switching between Anubis and Azarobi for my rounds, but to be honest, with 50 PALs, I didn't really need to shoot that often, and I barely had time when I was using the Noclums to actually pull out Anubis and start firing at him. We did it about 5 times yesterday. Recorded once, and it was the second time that we went after it. I should have recorded it the first time, but we wanted to see how it did. The first time we went at it, we actually did no food except for on us, and it actually panned out pretty well. Again, a lot of breeding and work has gone into this. It's like somewhere just for the Yormantides alone, it's like 800 and some Anubis that I had to breed up and butcher to get the souls to then max out everything. And then it's over 3,000 Yormantides, which we can see here in the PAL deck. Yeah, as you can see in the bottom right hand corner, we did 3,600 in total, so minus like a couple hundred for the other breedings that I'd done. And then realistically, we still got about, we'll say 4.25 left to max out completely, so that's another 464 that'll be added onto that. So we will be hitting about 4,000 as far as the breeding goes. And then the Anubis were up to 2,160 when we were at only like about 1,000 to max out both the Noclums and everything. Also, another thing, if you're having trouble with the leveling up, the training manuals, the XL Golds are perfect. I ended up saving a bunch from where we did Bella Noir, and also the chest, the Mimic chest, you can take and actually butcher them for these training manuals. So that's actually a good thing to grab a hold of if you honestly want to get some training manuals pretty quickly. I had about 360 and I'm down to 150 after maxing out 50 PALs from 1 to 55. So these are extremely helpful. We did use some of the purple ones, but it took a lot more of those compared to the gold ones. So try to get the gold ones as much as possible if you are having trouble with that. Some people were asking in the comments of the last video about the easiest way to go about breeding for IVs. My suggestion would be to not even worry about the IVs until you get your passives. Breeding with the passives and everything is the way to go with that. That's the way I've always been with any of my breedings when it came to Noclum. Like this is 2 randos that I had with Serenity and everything, but then some of these as well, we ended up putting, these are all Musclehead and Ferocious, but then with the Yormantides, we went with a couple that have the Serenity and Impatient on them. So that is a good thing to have mixed in there. If you want to do a full group of that, I wouldn't put it past anybody to do that because it does hit pretty quickly, and their skills come back quick enough to where they can almost continuously attack with heavy hitters too. But when it comes to breeding and everything, you really want a breeding pair. These were my breeding pair. These are my main ones, and you can notice that they are both at 100 IVs. Now, farming the dog coin comes into play a lot more with this in particular stuff as well. A lot of people use IV fruits to fix like existing PALs that are already bred up. In my personal opinion, that's not really worth it to do so. I would suggest putting it on your main breeders because that's where you're going to be able to mass produce 100 IVs rather than go about the business of just fixing a bunch of them, spending a bunch of dog coin, yada, yada, yada. If you get them up between 70 and 80 IVs across the board, it doesn't take that much. It is 500 per fruit, but you can buy them now and you can farm that coin pretty easily if you go about the way that we had talked about it. Included with the lava area, we have also seen that this small desert area over on the backside of Noclum is a really good run as well. And then also I've heard that the place around Anubis, you can find a decent amount of them. Basically anywhere that's flat where there's not very many trees and you can fly around pretty easily, you will find them more often. The only reason why I suggest specifically with this in particular crack is because they are lower level, and when they're lower level, it didn't like they give you less coin by any means. It's just that it's easier to kill them, because I've heard reports of people having to chase these things down. So if you want to prevent that, use this lava crack. Also, people were asking me about the Lulus and the Shroomers. I haven't done too much research with the Shroomers, but it seems like both of their partner skills stack while they're in base, because I have like, I think 8 Lulus out here, and the growth on all the stuff is just tremendous. Getting a couple of these guys and just throwing them out if you have the room. If not, condense them. Same with the Shroomers. Shroomers is a good idea to have a couple out. Like, pretty much puts their sanity to where it doesn't drop hardly at all. All these guys' sanity is like really good. Like, they're all at 100. If not, then they're pretty close to it. She's dropped a little bit, but so yes, without further ado, like I said, this is going to be a fairly short video. We will have more on a couple of these guys. Hopefully we can get them all done up by tomorrow, at least one grouping of them, so we can do a video on it. And also, I have been running multiplayer with Shibo, I believe his name is. Shout out to him. We've been getting him up to 55 so we can try to test the multiplayer out as far as the head-to-head arena. And we got him up to 55 last night, so we will be testing out the arena. arena tonight to see what it's about and see what we could do. And with that being said as well, we'll open up back to my versus stuff where now we can actually do a full-on versus and see which pals are better that we got bred up and everything. But nonetheless, without further ado, here is the raid. Alrighty, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. As you know, yada yada yada. So today we're going against Blazemud Ryu. We've already done one. I did not record it, so I decided to record the next one. We are working with 20 Noclums, all maxed out, 2 alphas. And we're running burgers behind them this time. And then we have 30 Yormantides, one of them being an alpha, and they're all maxed out other than these bottom 5. And this one right here, he's not fully starred out, but we have starred out everything else. They're all at 100 IVs. Most of them are. There's only like a couple that isn't, just to show that. Same with the Noclums, as you can see, mostly 100 IVs. These bottom row guys are not at 100, but they're at the 100 defense is what we were looking for. And then with the Yormantides, as you can see here, they're all at, most of them are all at 100, and they have at least all of them have 100 IV for the defense. This is overkill, but this is for a purpose, because this thing is hard. We have fed the bottom row that did not have the stars Rush Ore hot dogs, which we will be feeding our Azarobi with a Rush Ore hot dog as well. And me with a burger, just to keep up with some damage and stuff if I'm able to make a shot in there at all. Last time I wasn't, so we will put out the Yormantides first and then throw out the Noclums. And yes, we are using 50 pals because we can. We also have the multiplayer running right now as well, as you can see. Old Shy Boy. Shybo.
Out here. Yes. Out here. Help.
All right. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Yeah.
I think I found a perfect spot. You bold right there. Yeah, you bold. Right after you.
He's trying to get away.
Running after you.
There he goes. At the twisters, bro.
That was crazy.
There were so many twisters that just went off all at once. That was nuts. Yep. There you have it, folks. We beat him with 8 minutes and some change left, and only one of them got a major injury. That was faster than the first time. Where's my PAL box? I need a mini map. I can't find it. We're at the edge. It's got to be this way. It's in the middle of all of them. For real. There it is. I barely even had out Anubis for like more than 10 seconds. They destroyed him. That was perfect. Nice. Yeah, we didn't lose anything. Barely any of them lost any health. They did lose some sanity, but we did have a major injury. Couple major injuries, or minor injuries, rather. All right, y'all. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. If y'all did, drop a like. If you enjoy my content, drop a sub. Pal World all the time. You guys know it. If you guys want to join up in the community, I will drop the Discord in the description, so you guys can do that if you want. And also, if you want to follow me over on twitch.tv, it is Pope and the Pope at twitch.tv. I'll leave a link in the description as well for that. Other than that, keep your willy washed, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.